Greetings, friends and subscribers, and welcome to Strange Booze. And today we got a special treat, Black Tot Day. So what is Black Tot Day? Black Tot Day, now that I've said it 3 times, was the last day that the Royal Navy provided a rum splice to sailors in 1970. It effectively discontinued a long-standing tradition of sailors getting rum every day. And so how did those sailors drink their rum? Well, they drank it in this drink called grog, which was basically a mixture of water and lime juice, sometimes a little sugar, sometimes a little lemon, sometimes cinnamon. So today we mixed up a grog here, which the basic recipe is 1 ounce of rum, 1 ounce of demerara syrup, 1 ounce of lime juice, then 2 ounces of water shaken on ice. And that gives us a nice light grog here. What makes tonight special for us in Strange Booze is I picked up 3 of these a couple of years ago, and these are Pusser's Navy single-serving little ceramic decanters. But what's cool about these is they were all tax sealed still when I got them, and I picked them up for $10 for 3 of them. So the fill level seems pretty good on these. We're actually going to crack this open, and I'm going to be able to compare it to the modern Pusser's Navy rum, and then we're going to make a grog out of Pusser's that is no younger than 42 years. It's been in this bottle at least 42 years, possibly as many as 46. All right, so let's crack that open and we'll go from there. If I can crack it open. As I pull the tack seal off, you get the tiny little cork in there. I'm hoping this cork will just work its way loose. And of course, it did not cooperate. Okay, unsurprisingly, the cork took a little bit of a challenge. Kind of collapsed into the bottle. I got a strainer. I got my little guy here. We're just going to strain it into this decanter. It otherwise looks like perfectly fine rum. Okay, now we have our little tot. Put that cork right back on top. It did seem very well sealed, and the fill level seemed pretty good, so that's promising. Okay, so now I'm going to smell it. We'll compare that a little bit. They smell different, which is very interesting. Like I said, this Pusser's, because of the tax stamp, we can verify that it was tax stamped between 1977 and 1983 when the tax and duty stamps were discontinued. But Pusser's Navy rum was actually introduced in 1979 when the individual at the time essentially purchased the rights to the formula and the livery, so like the British Navy design, purchased those rights and the recipe at the time. So right off the bat, we compare those two. You can tell one of them looks substantially darker, and that is the original Pusser's, all right? We'll start with the modern Pusser's. Both 42% alcohol by volume. A little bit of, like, sweetness, brown sugar. You get the wood on the nose, almost like sawdusty, like sweet sawdust. And then we're going to smell the 1979 to 1983 one. It's definitely got a darker smell, more molassesy, a lot more molassesy. It smells a lot richer. And like I said, compare the colors, it's definitely richer. All right, I'm going to give a sip of this. Pusser's not really known as much of a sipping rum. It's really a mixing rum. A little bit one note, definitely some residual heat that went through there. Slight caramel notes, a little bit of brown sugar. I should have brought some water to cleanse my palate, but we'll just move on. Yeah. Immediately sweeter, definitely more oaky. It's much better. Less of the burn, more flavor. It's so different. The modern one is like just it's lighter in flavor. Yeah, it's like richer. I think you could sip it. And maybe it's a little bit of magic because the thing is like 40 plus years old. But like the oakiness comes through, and obviously it didn't get any extra oaking in the little ceramic decanter. So that's really cool. Very, very neat that they're 2 very different rums. So now I'm going to make the grog, and we can compare the grogs. In this bottom part of the shaker here, I have 1 ounce of demerara rich syrup, 1 ounce of lime juice. I'm about to put 1 ounce of the rum, hopefully. We'll also be able to tell how much we lost out of the bottle, if anything, from the time it was in there. And it was a decent amount. So that decanter only had about a little bit more than an ounce of rum in there, and theoretically it should be closer to 2 ounces, like 50 mils. That's the appropriate amount there for the fill or the decanter, maybe even just a tiny bit more compared to the other one. So I basically use up all that rum. So we did lose some volume on the cork, and maybe that has to do with the concentration of flavors and why it tastes better and why it's darker. But we're going to go ahead and make that grog anyhow. Put these aside, shake it up. Included the water just to get the grog ratio right, because we're serving this on ice, but you wouldn't traditionally serve it on ice on the ship like 200 years ago. And so the 2 ounces of water just helps with the ice to get the proper dilution. And that's our Davy grog. Put this aside. Compare them side by side. Still a little frothy here versus this guy. It definitely looks darker in the glass. Very subtly darker, right? Does Julia agree?
Yep.
Does it look darker? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So now we're going to taste the grog. It kind of tastes like a watered down daiquiri. And that makes sense with the amount of water we cut it with. Now let's try a 1979 to 1983 grog. Definitely more wood flavored. You taste the rum a little bit more, but the dilution's enough that you don't taste any of the alcohol. There's no alcohol burn in that. I have to say, like, I think I prefer the second. If I had to pick my poison or name my poison, I would choose the second one. All right, so that is Strange Booze. We just drank some 40-plus-year-old Pusser's rum. The good news is I have 2 more of these, so apparently I can make myself a pour again later. So, yeah. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And as always,
Thanks for drinking with him.
cheers.